the gentleman, Matt stopped in, he was gonna talk about the state park and dedication of the
You're up.
Should I have to stand up, or is this okay?
You can stand up.
Okay. I don't have a PowerPoint, so I apologize. Okay, well, hi everyone. I'm coming today from the Arboretum, and I'm here to talk about the Partners for Climate Action Grant, and I have some printouts if you'd like to follow along. But basically, PCA has mobilized over $5 million since 2020 to assist various towns in Hudson Valley in maintaining their
What does
resources.
that stand for the record?
People's Climate Action for Hudson Valley.
Thank you.
So they've done over $5 million in our fire region to support programs from youth climate action to ecological restoration to this grant, which is a funding futures training program. So basically, they want to help incubate conversations around sustainability that are bipartisan and solutions for communities to actually act on. So they're going to do a year-long training as well. So it wouldn't just be like the money goes to the Arboretum, it would be incubating a series of roundtables around important sustainability issues in the community. So one thing that we are proposing basically is to host the conversations and to bring in various experts from Green County Soil and Water Conservation, the Cornell Cooperative Extension, different groups that we already work with who are doing the sustainability work, to lead the conversation, get feedback from the community, and actually develop some sustainability solutions that are really community driven. And then Partners in Climate Action, their goal is to actually fund some of the programs that come out of these conversations. So,
Can you define what a sustainability action would be?
so if there were some kind of like watershed restoration project that the Arboretum could be of assistance in and actually facilitating that, or if there's bigger ecological crises that are in this community that people would bring to the table to discuss, and if whether that was like there's a runoff issue, especially with the big rains that have been happening, or flooding issues, that these could be issues that could be brought to the table to experts. Experts could give feedback. The community could come up with some kinds of proposed solutions, and then those solutions would get reviewed by People's Climate Action and could have the potential to actually be funded. So it's not just like a grant where we ask for money, we get the money, and the money just disappears. It's like they actually hold your hand for the year, will facilitate the conversations, make sure that the final product is something that they want to put their name on, and if they're really good projects, they'll fund them.
Who is the funding coming from again?
People's Climate Action in Hudson Valley. And they're
Are they
based
a
out of,
not-for-profit?
yes. And they're based out of Hudson.
Out of Hudson.
But they're taking applications from Green and Ulster counties.
And right now, you're just looking for a letter of support?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the stipulations is we need a letter of support from the town board, and then we'll be eligible to apply.
With the village board. Your location is in the town.
Well, it does say village boards count. Let me just double
Does it have to be the board of the, where the property, where the Arboretum is located, or does it have to, or is it just communities that the Arboretum serves?
It just has to be
Because we're Arboretum adjacent.
Green County.
Yeah, we can do that.
I wasn't being facetious. I just thought I would indicate to her that I know the property is not located inside of Tannersville town.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have the breakdown of the suggested topics of the
Yes, I can go.
speeches. It's actually great. Yeah, if you want to take a look at it.
Yeah, we have to talk about flooding, one about composting.
Tick management.
Yes.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Composting.
Oh, ticks.
Ticks, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially as it gets warmer, the ticks tend to not die, so different solutions around that would be nice to talk about, whether that's like planting or less toxic pesticide treatments. Like getting chickens, it's a big one.
Chickens eat a lot of ticks, right?
Yeah, and they're cute.
Board team, need to hear anything else? Do you have any further questions?
I'd be happy to support it with a letter of
Well,
endorsement.
we need a motion to send out.
Yeah. But I mean, if anybody else is a,
Motion to support the Arboretum for a letter of recommendation to the
Letter of
People's Climate
support.
Action. Letter of support.
Yeah.
Anyone second?
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Yay.
Anyone opposed? Have a good evening.
Thank you,
We have a long
guys.
agenda, and I guess we're all pro-environmentalists here.
Everyone enjoys outside. It's
Great.
nice to have a planet to live on.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a good rest of your
Have a
day.
great evening.
Bye.
I'm gonna move right down to, Carl's here, took extra time out of his day to be here so that we could continue our discussion on a few laws and give you guys a little background of it. I don't have that thing laid out, the worksheet, or you have it? It has your notes on it. So I did investigate a few of the questions that we had brought up last time. So, first, are they on the bottom? Workshop session, so we're gonna move down to number 8. So we have noise control law. My wife brought up to me that living in a tourism town, which I heard is kind of common, is that construction on weekends should maybe be delayed a bit. Since we live in a tourism community, noise, crazy tractors, stuff like that, maybe could start a little bit earlier than 7 a.m. Which
Or later.
later than 7 a.m. So the current law had 7 a.m. and except on Sundays, rather than including Saturdays. So I looked at the law and wanted to make 2 minor changes to it. A, that it includes Saturday and Sunday, and that construction and equipment, although we have to be sensitive to men and women that are handy around the home, that want to do certain work, and they're working all week, and they have to do it on weekends, so we can't just say you can't do anything all weekend. So I suggested 9 a.m. as a start time for that type of work, and end at 9, because it gets dark in the summertime at 9, and make the most of this activity would take place. And it would be on Saturday and Sunday, rather than 7 a.m. when they are doing excavation and demolition.
The one thing I would maybe question on the proposed changes, which I'm assuming are what is highlighted in yellow, is the Saturday edition makes sense, that's also a religious day for a lot of people. But all state and federal holidays where governmental offices are closed, I would maybe push back a little bit on that, because that takes away like whole, 3-day weekends that somebody can work on home renovation projects. I would advocate for being more flexible on the holidays. Not all holidays are religious holidays or observed
This is
holidays.
just pushing the time.
Just pushing the
7
time
a.m. to 9 a.m.
You can't start at 7 on a weekend.
Right, but on a federal holiday, if I were home and needed to use
You
my
could still-
machine,
you
you
could
could
do
still
it.
use
Oh.
it just after 9?
I misread it, I thought it was excluded where you couldn't.
No, you just start at
I
9.
read this super fast, just like an hour
That's
ago.
okay, yeah.
So, yeah, okay, so you're just saying the same hours would apply on holidays.
Correct, because the hours
Like you're
above
not
you see
restricting,
is
you're not
7.
saying no work on holidays.
Correct.
Okay, cool.
So on Labor Day, you can get up at 9 and
Yeah, I'm
do
good,
something.
I'm good, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, no worries. I've thrown a lot at you.
Yeah,
Because
and
we
I
said
don't,
we
I
were-
don't do well when I have to like absorb something in the moment and then
So-
workshop it.
I read it 3 times because the way the law is written, that is our current law primarily. I said, what do you do during the week? And it really doesn't say Monday through Friday you can do this, it just says the hours of no noise are 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. and then it excludes on Saturday, Sunday, and holidays.
Yeah.
Cody,
Yep, I follow.
you follow? Do you
Yep.
have anything you want to add to the discussion? We don't have to fly through it, but if we feel that it's, was there anything else, Robin, that on any other pages of that law that would change?
Those were all the highlights.
Yeah, it was just basically putting,
All the exceptions are the same, variances are the same, penalties are the same, notice violations is all identical to what we had in the past,
Yeah, the only thing that was changed was the times.
2013 law.
Yeah.
Are we comfortable with that? We have a code enforcement officer here. I did review it. Carl, I don't know if you had any other time to dwell on it and think.
The only other thing I would add maybe is if we don't have it already, that on our permit applications, we include that information for contractors who expect to work on weekends. Because if they're coming in at 7 on a Saturday,
On the building permit?
On the building permit.
on the application
That's a
itself.
good idea.
On the application for building permit.
Okay.
Well, that doesn't have to be in the law, but we could just put
Yeah,
that in.
exactly.
Update the form, that's a really good idea.
Yeah,
So that they know.
they know.
Yeah.
Ah, great.
Better compliance with
Do
law
we need a
enforcement.
motion to make this a public comment for 30 days?
No, we're gonna have to make that a formal change, or is this the law? Can we use this one and start
The only
changing
thing
it?
I gotta do is just make it all one color and I can post it if you guys feel you're ready to have a public hearing next month.
Sure. If you guys are comfortable.
With this one, yeah.
We can understand.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so we can start aging it, and we'll go with those changes, and,
We don't need a motion.
no. We'll need a motion to adopt.
Or motion to set public hearing after doing.
Yeah, we need a
Unless
motion.
you wanna do it as part of the plan. No, that's not.
That's not
Sorry,
fine.
18, sorry.
So it will be,
June.
make a motion to have a public hearing on the noise law, should I call it amendment?
Noise control law revised.
Revised,
Second.
on June 18th.
30 days.
Second, June 18th, right?
Yeah.
June 18th, that's 30 days. Great.
The
Yes,
motion,
second,
there
all
was
those in
a-
favor?
Aye.
I made the motion
Seconded.
and carried. Okay. Subdivision law. At the last meeting, I don't know if you guys picked up on it, you probably did, I didn't mean it in that fashion, but when I decided to run for office, I was gonna review all the laws and update all the laws. DEC has changed their definitions of what a minor subdivision and a major subdivision is. Mark, Mr. Smears was here, and he contradicted me that I was wrong, because he knew what the state law was, which is that a minor subdivision equates to a single parcel being converted into up to 4 parcels. And anything after that, if you create 5 parcels or more, you're a major subdivision.
That's DEC's law.
Yes.
Okay.
So our law is if you create 3 lots, you trigger a major subdivision, which is in contradiction.
So we're just gonna,
Make ours consistent with current DEC laws.
And most municipalities around it.
And most of the municipalities around us, or all of the municipalities, we don't know everyone.
Some are 4, right, Paul?
He's shaking his head.
I'd have to look at it, I don't wanna say.
We don't want it, we don't want to.
But it is consistent with most.
Yeah.
And some are 5 actually, and haven't gone down to 4, because this DEC says 5 and up, and then it says up to 5. So I'm like, why did they word it like that? So why don't we just say, a minor is 4 or less, and a major is 5 or more, and they word it slightly. Was something else that we had in that law, Robin, also? It was like just a couple, you guys have in front of you the highlighted areas in case you have any questions about it.
yeah.
It's
There
like-
weren't very many things that were highlighted.
Yeah, the other,
The highway
under the
liaison.
seeker, we just added that all realty subdivision projects regardless of size, location, or type.
On page 4 of it,
Have coordinated review.
that is the new DEC law which
Yeah.
regulates.
Yeah.
Okay.
We updated the law reference, because it formerly said land use and setback ordinance, and we referred to the zoning law.
Zoning law rather than ordinance.
And then on page 20, we just added, under the highway standard for dedication of village roads, we just added, any subsequent local law enacted by the village governing such standards, in the event that you guys do update the standards for the road.
Then this would follow it.
Right. And
Yeah,
then
so-
you're gonna have to go back and amend this law.
Gotcha.
And the
That's
zoning
when
law
you do a
reference-
subdivision and you want the village to take over your road. It is no longer a private road. That road has to meet the specifications that the village has in place then.
Okay.
Because there was a period of time where dirt roads were considered roads also, so that as they get more stringent or more boosted up as far as, what the composite is, then this is just basically saying, whatever the law is now, that's how you have to build a road before you can ask for a dedication. And thanks for coming in early and reviewing all these things, board members. Do we have any comments or questions about that?
No.
Do we have a motion to put it up for a public hearing on June 18th
I'll make a motion
for revision of,
for revision of the subdivision law for, public hearing on June 18th.
Second.
second?
Sure, second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So carried. We just hung up with Nikon, who, which is, free legal advice for the village, basically, about a few of the questions of our short-term rental law, and we spoke to that specialist, you guys, that runs the accredited program, I would say, right, for planning and zoning.
He's one of the top attorneys up there.
Who's the top attorney, and he answered some of the questions that were brought up as far as enforcement in the last meeting. So, Mr. Kelly is not here, but he brought up, which, is it in either law? You reviewed it very stringently about people that just refuse to register.
It's not.
Was not in any of the
Joe's
laws.
policy mentioned.
Because George Kelly had made reference that town of Hunter was having trouble, people says, I'm not registering. I brought it up with NICOM, and they said it has to be in the law that if you're not registered, and what the penalties are. Also, he stated that,
So that way there's something to enforce.
right, otherwise if you just
Yeah,
say,
yeah. No, that makes sense.
yeah, buzz off, car,
Yeah.
I'm not registered. He also said that it is mandatory now for all short-term rentals. I know that you have some, and I don't know if you've heard. I don't know what the time frame is that everyone is gonna have to be registered with the county.
Well, there's the state registry, Green County doesn't have a registry as of
As of yet, but
As
they
of
will.
yet, but they don't have it yet.
They don't have it yet, but they will.
So counties that don't have their own registry default to being required to register with the state.
Register with the state. So Green County is adopting it, so that question
Green
about
County's
how we're gonna
the
find everyone, that sooner or later, we're gonna have a registry from either the state or from the county, that's gonna tell us, here's your short-term rentals. You won't have to do the searches or pay some company to search it out.
I know you were resistant to having a company, a third-party company.
I was not interested in that.
I know you were resistant to it, but I'm just gonna put my 2 cents in and say I think you should revisit that. I think it's really hard to manage it without having a third-party company.
That's why I called, so.
You might be able to speak better to that with experience. I'm just going by anecdote. But,
Right. So, given the,
Maybe we're a small enough municipality. I don't
yeah,
know. I don't know.
given the housing stock, there aren't that many ways to kind of hide. And in addition to, the fact that they're advertising. And it's really, there are only a handful of advertisers, Verbo, Airbnb, I was on one today. And they just, you can do a map of Tannersville and see, boom, here's your rentals. We've had experience with different companies in Jewett. We've used, I forgot the name, I don't know if it may be Granicus. One of them, was it Granicus that was terrible? I think the town of Hunter picked them up.
And it's dropped in since.
Yeah, I had a bad experience. But you can do an a la carte type of thing where you say, okay, just identify, which might be in the realm of about, $4,000. Yeah, I mean, 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
If we don't opt to go with one, and it seems to become unwieldy or onerous, can we revisit it?
Of course.
Okay, that's my only thing. I just don't want us to be locked into something that then is like an albatross around
Yeah.
your neck.
Carl comes to us and says,
Yeah.
I can't manage it,
Yeah.
it's too much.
Yeah.
Right, I think in the first year, there might be a lot of things that we kind of, it's a trial run. We're gonna see how this works out, and always ability to amend it at some point in the
Yeah.
future.
Yeah, okay. That, as long as we have that flexibility built in, I'm good.
For the public, since we're recorded and everyone wants to know it, was brought up again by NICOM, is what is your vision and intention of this law? So I brought it up right away, all you guys campaigned, I don't know if you heard it from constituents or not, but I had unrelenting, for me, when I went door to door and making phone calls, that quality of life issues are a big deal, and I had to figure out a way to deal with it. And mine was pretty simple. Health and safety, are the dwellings safe? Noise complaints, parking complaints, garbage complaints seem to be what's driving me to have some sort of registration and inspection. That is what's driving me, and that's from the constituents complaining about it. That is, I do not want an additional tax. I didn't want an additional burden on the building department. I'm not looking for a revenue stream. I just feel that with the current laws that we have, we cannot manage certain properties and get them into compliant and not affect quality of life. And that is my only mission. I'm not opposed to short-term rentals. I'm not. When I was in tourism, they were a big plus for my restaurant. Big plus. 12 tops, 15 tops, 8 tops, 10 tops, eating out, spending money in the community as far as tourism based. They were very positive. I never had any problem. As someone that would get a phone call, they're doing it again at midnight, at 2 in the morning, I can't park, Lee, don't do, Mr. Mayor, can we do something about that? Anyway, that's just my side. I don't know if anyone else has anything that they'd like to say in reference to the short-term rental.
I'll add something to that. It offers the ability and an extra layer of liability for the owner of the property, because if they become a problem, and you're really only dealing with maybe a small handful. Most, in my experience, people have, responsible guests and you hear nothing from them. But for those handful, and we've had 3, I want to say, in Jewett, where at some point they had to just put their hands up and say, we're turning over the property, we're selling it, because they couldn't conform, they didn't want to deal with, the threat of losing their registration. So yeah, it is a really good tool to really get those handfuls coming to compliance. Because beyond that, we're just issuing violations. In fact, the matter is, they don't care. They'll just pay the $250 and continue business as usual. But the threat of losing the opportunity to be a short-term rental is a better cudgel. So, and we hope we don't have to use it, but at least we have that tool in our toolbox.
Do you believe 3 strikes and you're out is a reasonable request?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Was there anything else on here that we had? So I think at the very end of, I don't know if you guys have this thing, I added, and then you might say this is too radical, but we could be with it. We could add time constraints. I put any unregistered short-term rental property subject to a $5,000 fine.
That would be that unregistered
That was
clause
the
to
one
make them register.
I'm Mr. Smith, and I say I'm not registering. Buzz off.
Yeah,
I
that
keep
would-
advertising it, and Carl sends a letter, you're not registered, it's been 6 months, it's been 9 months, it's been 3 years, whatever it is. And he just says, or she just says, or it just says, the LLC just says, we don't care. I put it as a penalty of $5,000.
Can we make it, so let me ask you this, what is the ceiling for small claims court in Green County?
3.
3?
Want to make it 3?
No, I wanted to make it, if it was 3,
5.
I'd make it 3,001.
Oh, okay, yes, 3,000. Then also 60 minutes to respond to the complaint. I think that had to be expounded upon. I put 60 minutes to respond and correct, or you might be subject to a
So the way
violation.
that some other laws word this is 30 minutes to respond, 60 minutes to be on site if need be. So like, if you have to be there in person to address an issue, you have 60 minutes to get there. But some other laws, I think Hunter's included, says 30 minutes, like if somebody calls you with an issue, you have 30 minutes to get to respond to the complaint and address the situation by phone, or if you have to go in person, 60 minutes.
No objection, sounds good. Because 30 minutes is plenty of time to pick up the phone or text or say, here I am, I'm on my way, whatever's going on.
Exactly, exactly. And then 60 minutes implies that you're within a reasonable
How
travel
about,
distance.
how about just 60 minutes to correct the situation? Whether you stayed on the phone with your tenant that you rented to, so just give them 30 minutes to respond, 60 minutes to correct, or you may be subject to a violation.
Because if the possibility exists when you allow that latitude, that, you know, they're calling you in 59 minutes, and then they'll say, okay, I'll get my guy out there in a half an hour. Now you've just set the clock back.
No, I have 30 minutes to respond, but 60 minutes to correct.
Oh yeah, 60 minutes to correct is
60 minutes to correct, 30
Yeah.
minutes to respond, 60 minutes to correct.
30 minutes to respond, 60
60 minutes to
correct.
correct, whether you corrected it by sending your liaison guy to pick up the garbage, or
Right.
some guy to enforce the noise, or a tow truck to pull a car that's blocking a shared right of way.
Right. I thought was that the suggestion? That sounded like it.
Yeah.
It's basically what I said.
Yeah.
That's from the moment somebody calls to correct the issue until the moment it's arrived and corrected, it's 90 minutes. 30 minutes to arrive and then 60 minutes to correct the issue.
No.
I interpreted it within the 60 minutes.
Yeah.
All within, yeah,
Yeah.
all within
It
the
all
60
falls
minutes.
in the 60
Yeah.
zone.
Yeah. That's how I interpreted our neighbors.
30 minutes to respond, 60 minutes to collect, all within the hour window. Yeah.
I mean, just as devil's advocate.
Well, but I just
is-
wanted to add the words, or you're subject to the violation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because you don't
is
get a
there-
violation because the guy makes noise, you get a
Is
violation because he doesn't stop the noise.
Yeah, but like, if somebody is unable to rectify the situation within the 60 minutes, say it's a tow issue and you can't get a tow truck in time, like, are we going to make exceptions and be flexible?
Carl,
If somebody is.
At his discretion.
At the
That's
discretion
the
of,
discretion of the building.
like, if somebody is shown to be doing their best, the best efforts to comply.
A lot of that
But
does
like
come
life
down
gets
to
in the
discretion,
way.
you know?
Yeah.
There are considerations which we have to kind of weigh. And we'll take that as it goes,
Yeah.
almost, because, yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
as long as there's.
efforts are being made.
Yeah, as long
Let's
as
go, you
there's
know?
discretion at efforts being made.
Yeah.
Considering depending on what time of day it is and what the thing that needs correcting is, if somebody is doing their best and is out of their control, the ability to, I can't think of an example except for the tow truck thing.
Right.
Just because it's like, if there's like one tow truck at 2 a.m, you're at their mercy. But
No, I'm good with that. I think there's gonna be discretion, and they
Yeah,
also
okay.
have an appeal to the board.
Okay,
Hey, they called me at 11, I sent my guy over, they got quiet, and blah, blah, blah. Or the car broke down in the driveway, I was
Yeah.
blocking my neighbor's driveway, tow truck didn't get there for 2 hours. Here's the receipt, I paid the tow truck.
yeah, okay,
Right.
as long as there's discretion, yeah.
We weren't gonna, were there more questions? So we added that, and was there anything else that we didn't cover at the last one? The fee schedule, we can review again, because we're gonna have Robin put it in there. I was going with the town fee schedule. I know you had concerns about,
I actually.
it seems like everyone's been consistent with it's per unit that's advertised, not per
So
town.
I put together a scenario, I only put it on one copy because I wasn't thinking I would be talking about it here, but it's a scenario of how the fees would calculate across 3 multi-unit properties compared to 1 multi-bedroom property. And consistently, the multi-unit properties pay far higher fees, partly because the application fee and the fire inspection fee are compounded. We resolved that, that's just kind of a fact of life, but the bedroom escalation isn't proportionate. And you know, this is just an example of 3 properties, but there's at least 5 that have multi-units that I can think of, just along Main Street. And one of the things that I would advocate for is, when you're talking about tourism and this being a good town for people to come and spend money in the restaurants and shop and blah, 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 we have a really nice array of studios, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, that make it easy for weekend getaways, for small families, for couples, which are a lot of tourism dollars here. And if you price out that size of short-term rental, I think it hurts Tannersville in a bigger picture kind of way.
I think the problem is that they're all individual dwellings. But they're all individually advertised units. So if one unit.
And the one typo on here is, after I talked to Don, he has 4 units, and I only have 3. But, so his numbers would be slightly different. But I was trying to compare all of these scenarios have 4 bedrooms on 1 property. It's just the number of units that differs.
Using cascade apartments. Which one?
That's me.
That's you.
And I talked to Nikon today, and when it comes to the vote, I will recuse myself, or the public hearing, I will recuse myself, but I will probably speak as a resident. And he said that that's the way that I can go forward.
Yeah, you're allowed to
Yeah.
remove yourself from the
Yeah,
board.
I confirmed that with my students today.
But they had you not voting on the wall.
Yeah, I told them up front that I was like, I'm already
This
planning.
is a workshop, so
Yeah, I'm
just for you
already-
to be clear,
Yeah,
you should tell
yeah, and
them.
I'm disclosing that I have short-term rentals.
Yeah, and this is a workshop, and we're just going over final touches on a proposed law that we're hoping to present in the very near future.
The apartments, multiple units within the same property.
Tax map.
Tax map, is very common in Tannersville. It affects a lot, you know, it affects more people than just this. There's 5 that I can think of off the top of my head, but I have multiple units on the same tax map. And I always like to view things through the lens of what is fair, and this doesn't feel fair across the board. You know, a 4-bedroom house is gonna be a higher revenue generator, but has the lowest application fee. And Toby's still looking to look at this.
That's enough, I just need to do some math.
And I apologize, I didn't bring this intending to talk about it tonight, it's just that I had it, and this was like an exercise.
Well, I tried to go through all this work, and
Yeah,
Robin and I were
it's an
trying to.
exercise I did for myself today, just because I was like, I needed to look at it through the lens of numbers, because when we talked about it last week, I wasn't able to get to that point, just because my head didn't look at it through that lens yet. But when I did the exercise today, the math comes out kind of uneven to me. And my concern is that at, you know, at public hearing, with the number of properties this would impact, you're gonna get a lot of negative feedback.
Oh, it is, not legal to put unpaid penalties on someone's taxes.
For
That's not too bad.
What?
Darn.
Not darn, though, you bring them into court
See the
and
percentage of,
go that direction.
if you rent at 200 nights, at 200 nights a year at $200 for a
But
1
you're
bedroom.
assuming all rentals being equal in
No, I'm not.
price.
No,
What-
I'm not.
what we're
I'm
gonna do
assuming,
is-
I'm assuming a 1 bedroom is $200 per night, and I'm
You're
assuming,
assuming,
these are just
that's
assumptions,
what I'm
yeah.
saying, you're
Yeah.
assuming when all of these have different price points.
So my assumptions for my math are $200 per night for a 1 bedroom, $300 a night for 2 bedroom, and rented out at 200 nights a year. So I was trying to calculate what
So
the
your
penalty
assumptions
percentage would be.
about rates are
She hasn't listened to anything she said.
Okay.
And again, to change.
She wasn't sure about that at all.
They're just assumptions, they're not right. They're just assumptions.
So, could you forward your numbers to the board just to, because you're gonna do this at the public hearing? And then at that point, we can make adjustments to the fees, or within a few days, if everyone has more time to digest, your argument now, your position,
And this is just
not
a
an
fee schedule
argument.
for Hunter that has to be
Yeah,
set
this
up.
is, right.
Because we have talked about adopting the Hunter fee schedule.
No,
You know, and I don't think that this multiple units within the same tax map
Yeah, and
issue affects the town of Hunter as much, but I think that I would advocate for Tannersville being sensitive to it because it does affect a number of our properties.
How many SDRs do you believe are in the village of Tannersville?
I don't know. I know that I don't know. I'm not good at numbers on the bottom if you are, but I do know that there are at least 5 properties that have multiple units on the same tax map. At least 5 that I can think of off the top of my head. There's, these 3,
Carl,
and then
what
there's
is
Jesse's,
objection?
and then there's Slopes.
Only that if there are, or if you have information about multiple dwelling units within Tannersville, I'd like that information, because I would need to know that they are multiple dwelling units. I'm not familiar with,
Yeah.
I'm not sure there are that many, and they may not be legal dwelling units.
Well, according to what is currently actively being rented as short-term rentals, there are at least 5 properties that have at least 2 dwellings within the tax map.
At least 2
2 or more, yeah.
or more.
Country and Maine has the lease.
like they have 2 suites, Suite A and Suite B,
Yeah,
which are rented out as separate units,
Yeah,
separate listings.
yeah.
right. Well, the question becomes, are you renting out a portion of your house and you're calling that Suite A?
No, it'd be like a hotel renting out room 1 and room 2 on the same floor.
But here's the point, are they just renting out a bedroom and a living room? Or,
Everything
the
that
question here is the kitchen.
Everything that I'm
That's my
talking about,
question.
everything that
How
I'm
many
talking.
kitchens and how many, the kitchen is what defines a unit.
That's right. the
Now, if
unit.
you've got multiple kitchens, that's considered multiple units. If you got a house and you just happen to be renting out, your attic or whatever, another room, that's a whole different ballgame. And I just
These are all
like to know
multiple kitchens and-
what, if any,
The only
multiple
one I'm not sure
dwelling-
about for that is the country stores. I'm not sure if those are just suites or if
Just
those
suites.
are, if they have kitchenettes.
Right.
Yeah, that's the only, everything else is full units. Yeah.
It does seem.
Well, that's why we need to go and do
Other
inspections.
variants?
Hence, more ammunition why we need to do appropriate inspections.
That is correct.
Okay,
Anyway, thank you for listening. I would advocate for you guys to revisit it. Obviously, I can't, but thank you for listening to the comments.
the only thing that I would think that could be a middle ground is that if we added another fee for multi-units on one tax map rather than 175 per, a different price for that. Just because you're driving and going to one tax lot.
Yeah, and I'm in this,
Some sort of compromise between them both.
in this, we had
The main cover
we had
the
worked-
most.
We had workshopped last week, we had workshopped the application fee being per unit, the fire inspection fee per door per unit. So my calculation of the fee disparity is entirely based on the fees, the arbitrary fees attached to the number of bedrooms. So that's to me, like, one had $700 in fees based on bedrooms, one $850, one $1,000, and then a 4-bedroom house, $550. And all of those are for 4 bedrooms, it's just different numbers of units, but each on their own tax map. Does that make sense? Is it okay?
Yeah, except that, I don't know, it was arbitrary because a lot of people seem to support the other local
I'm
laws.
saying arbitrary in that, like, these are fees that we could decide to change, you guys could decide to change. That's what I mean by arbitrary, in that this could be revisited. Not that it's like tied to some tax
You're gonna
logic.
send that
I can
around.
send it to you or to Robin or to you.
Yeah,
Well, I'll just send it to you both. Okay. and this is my informal study, I did it for myself, and it's just like, I didn't realize we
You
were,
just did the math,
yeah, I didn't realize we were doing, having a short-term rental conversation, so I didn't, so, I just happened to have
Does
it.
anybody remember any other unanswered questions? I think I got most of them in there, and now we're gonna put it into a more formal form, yes.
I was wondering if we were gonna be able to require, applicants who share a driveway to provide a road agreement with their, application, not to be enforced by us, but to prompt that they've had a conversation with their neighbors through
So,
the application process.
What I thought, we have the one case that's been here for months,
Right.
that during the inspection, the fire inspection, that the code enforcement officer, who ultimately does the inspection,
Yeah.
is going to determine how many cars they fit.
Okay.
So in other words, it's not mandatory. If you have a 7-bedroom house and you can fit 2 cars, it's gonna say on the permit, 2 cars. And then I have market my short-term rental property as 7-bedroom, 2 cars. Bring up 2 cars, carpool, take the bus up from New York, do whatever you wanna do to get here, but
then
you
if
can't
they-
park 7 cars, so then you live next door and they're blocking your driveway and you can't get out. You're like, can you believe this again? I can't get out, they got 8 cars here. You call, there's the
there's
complaint.
something to enforce them.
They have to get their
That's
cars
what
out of
it
there within 60 minutes, we just determined,
Yep.
because they're only allowed to have 2 cars, and it's a simple violation. It was like you're allowed 2 cars, you had 8 cars, guy can't get out, rather than deal with the short mandatory road maintenance agreement.
Yeah, we need
or whatever.
something that's then enforceable, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it just seems very enforceable, and I don't
Yeah,
wanna
it's
limit,
enforceable.
because I have a house that's 7 bedrooms, I only have two parking spots, that's bad. I just advertised 2 parking spots.
Yeah.
The bus drops you off in the middle of the village. We are in the village, we're talking about a village law. Take the bus up from the, you carpool with your friends. Park your car somewhere.
So while that may address the parking issue, there is the maintenance part of the road maintenance agreement. And the question, and with the problem that we've had with the one that we're all familiar with, you've got a lot of usage on that road from one property. And so where's the equity? Like,
That's us forcing them to deal with problems that already existed, that we still have to get you two at the table to come up with the road maintenance agreement. The person was in the village office yesterday again, discussing her arguments with her neighbor. It happened to be a short-term rental. For a couple of years, they shared the plowing, then they wanted their own plow, this one wanted their own plower. One plower plowed in the other one. People gotta come to the table and get it, but I don't know if it's necessarily our business to determine. Safety first. There's no access, there's no fire access,
right,
people are getting towed, we know who they are, and it doesn't matter.
right, okay.
And that case, in on Main Street is the worst case I've seen,
Right.
clearly, as far as who owns the road, can they all get it together? But if you went there and said, here's your permit, you told us you had 6 bedrooms, you can fit 4 cars, and you can't park them on the lawn.
Yeah.
So that was another complaint that we get on Spruce, people parking their cars on the lawn. You guys agree? Alright. So he'll make the determination. Or like George says, you got a long driveway, you got my driveway, I can park 10 cars on my driveway. You tell me I can't do it? My driveway's 300 feet, I can park 20 cars on my driveway. You drive in and say, you can park 20 cars there. And George parks 10 on his driveway, all with license plates.
Yes.
Was there anything else in the law? This will come up in a draft. Hopefully it will be good enough for us to look at, maybe at the planning board meeting.
If these are all the changes, we can shoot for next week, and have something circulated.
And circulate to the board, and then you guys can make some more remarks, and then we can maybe present it at the next, planning session,
Yeah.
and then start trying to.
Quick question about one more requirement, we talked about it briefly. Is it possible to have the applicant provide information regarding an app that they would have that would remotely detect their decibel level at the house? Because the noise is the biggest issue. And for us to deal with it through devices or anything like that. It's very challenging.
You have to expand upon this, because you just went briefly on it. So there's an app on your
Yes.
phone?
So somebody
Yes.
would have to have a device in each unit that monitors sound levels?
Yes, and
That's
it's
a-
very inexpensive, it's an app on your phone, you can detect what the decibel level is of your property in Tannersville. And they, as the owner, will call up the occupant and
Say,
say,
"Hey, calm down."
lower the level.
Is there a precedent for that being included in any short-term rental regulations? I can't remember any that have that. as
I
a-
don't know that there's a precedent for it having been in the rules. What I do know though.
I know a lot of short-term rentals have it, but not all do. And,
Yeah.
but are there any laws?
Can
that
you make it a
require-
mandatory
Can you think of
requirement?
any laws that require it? Cause I'm not 100% on board with that.
Well, let's look at it this way. I mean, we are writing the law, we are the village. It is our short-term rental regulation. I don't know that there's anything prohibiting us from putting it in the.
No, I was just asking if you knew if there was precedent for it.
Yeah.
Could we possibly look at making it a requirement after a violation, rather than making
I was going
everybody
the same
start
way.
with it?
I like it. I was thinking that also, once you get a noise complaint.
You
then
get an
go-
ankle monitor.
I was thinking the same
Yeah,
thing.
then you make them,
That's
You
fine.
don't get an ankle monitor, sorry.
That's fine. After.
Oh, ankle monitor.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, you.
That's
made it
not a bad
required.
idea. Yeah, that's reasonable.
rather than putting up the additional cost.
Yes, you're already asking a heavy lift
Violation.
for fees and everything, and then it would be like another lift.
Yeah, I'd say it'd have to come after a violation, not just a complaint.
We'd have to put it under violations.
Well, in order to, again, prove the violation, that's the decibel reader. I think
If they wanna appeal it and they get it in the first place, then they might be able to appeal it with us.
or you can just say 3 complaints,
Yeah.
or 1 violation.
Oh, yeah, we could do both.
One noise violation, subject to mandatory decibel meter and level.
I'd be very hesitant to put decibel meters.
What is it called?
Oh, the unit? Yeah. No, that's what it's called. I'm sorry. I hear decibel
I
meters.
thought I was doing
And
good.
I get cold sweats from the Jewett experience.
I know, and decibel meters. Anyone who's been in public service for a long time, it is the
Carl, you
worst.
put any information on that?
Remember when?
I'm looking at Matt, because, when there was 6 nightclubs on Main Street, standing out on the sidewalk with decibel meters with state troopers,
Back in the day.
back in the day.
Windows were rattling.
Also avoiding the rumble rolling out the doors.
Can I just ask a question? Is, like with the rentals, is there like a go-to, like a host? Like say you have a complaint, and they're down in New Jersey or wherever.
Yeah, we
they're-
covered that.
Yeah, that's
Is
covered.
there a host that's like designated within X number of miles
Yes, yes.
from the
So
facility?
they
That's all
require,
I
they
know.
require.
These are the
to
last
have-
stuff. That was
I
tough.
haven't, it's like, so, hey, you are, it's like, you need to go deal with this.
Right. We have one with, it has to respond within 30 minutes and address it within 60 minutes, otherwise they're in violation.
Good.
That property manager, that
So
host.
that implies that they have to be within it.
Yeah, that implies, yeah, that they gotta be within driving distance. But they can't handle it over the phone. You wanna put that in? So was my wording good, Robin? Did you get my wording? Because I thought I was doing good on it. Also, this does not apply to seasonal rentals for the camera. This is under 30 days.
Under 30 days, yeah. So it's not.
People have already called me and they have seasonal rentals, which does not apply to me. Although, maybe it should. We get complaints from seasonal rentals.
Yeah.
Okay, so Robin is gonna draw that up, and we're gonna move on. Next thing on the agenda, thanks, Carl, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
All good? Thank you. Thank you.
No?
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Did you guys do the vouchers?
Yes.
Yes.
Do we have a motion to pay the vouchers and abstracts?
Motion to approve all vouchers
Second.
All those in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Alright.
So carried. Department, what is this? Take one.
The top one's yours.
I guess this is on me now. Since the voters of the village of Tannersville have decided to keep the village of Tannersville on a 4-to-1 vote, it is our duty to start making, on a lot of levels, for me personally, more environmentally efficient, healthier environment. As you see, other than tonight, we usually have larger meetings, we have large court meetings. We have a lot of work for the people to be done in this room. We started improving it. We want to improve water, air quality in here, HVAC on all levels. Systems are antiquated, they're old, they're dirty, they're not efficient. We're getting solar, and we want to supplement with the most efficient apparatus that we can for the reasons that I just stated. So we are accepting bids from multiple contractors. Have already come in, examined the space, and have come up with their ideas and solutions. I'm not going to adopt it tonight because I'm going to give all the things that we've come so far. They're not all apples to apples, but when you receive bids, sometimes things aren't apples to apples. It's what's going to be the best, what's going to receive the best service, what has the longest track record of service and efficiency and accountability for the work that you have done. So I want to thank Matt Leach for bringing this. And I was in with the whole crew today doing an extensive survey of the property. And in addition to that, under the former administration had started to make all the doors safer and ADA compliant. So those doors are ordered. 6 of these windows have been ordered. As I don't know if you can identify these, but half of them don't open or close. They are 25 years old. They were not maybe the highest quality when they were bought, given the size and the way they worked. But either way, they got some life out of them, but they are done.
Can I ask a couple questions?
Yeah, I just want to see if I covered everything about the
sorry,
building.
sorry.
So the roof is done, has been done, solar will be going on the roof. Small grant will cover part of the cost for a separate system for the court clerk and the judge. So that
Separate heating-
there will be
separate
their
heating?
own environment,
Heating system?
heating and AC.
That was gonna be part of my question.
That's part of that. So they're a separate entity,
Yeah.
so therefore, now when she needs heat, she turns on this entire building. The vent goes through there and brings her heat. So we heat everything and lose everything. The wall is going to get rid of a lot of problems to begin with. Also, which I just discovered today, fortunately Mr. Leach brought it up to my attention, I had no idea it was that severe. The intakes for return air are in the fire bay for the trucks, so their exhaust gets pulled into here when the heat goes on. Wonderful, if they're running, if they're running.
Yeah.
But they,
Start to suck you.
what?
That's why we get such a.
And that's why, anyway, we have to clean this up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's mandatory, it's not a question. It's just which one we feel is gonna be the most
Sure,
efficient.
sure. So part of my question was gonna be whether this was addressing the heat in the entire building, and you answered that. This was.
This is the entire building, but that one system is isolated.
Sure, okay, and they are responsible for upgrading their own heat situation?
No, they got a grant to help, they're part of the.
I mean, like, you don't have to figure that one out. They are gonna come up with a solution?
No, it's in this proposal.
It's-
That room, that space itself is one solution.
So
Current-
here I see one mini split,
Yeah, that's correct. For
For
that,
that room.
so this is for that.
That's for the court.
that's for the
That's
court
for the
clerk.
clerk's
Okay,
office.
so this is where, okay, so this is for.
This
the
is
court.
just for this room.
Yeah,
Which
so
there's an
you said-
open grant.
So
on
then,
or
so then does that mean the rest of this building is running on the furnace that kept breaking down last year?
No,
For now.
I thought you brought me the
So-
whole bit.
Yeah, so this is like,
Okay, I didn't even look at it because you threw me off.
Just-
All
I've
right,
got
so I
multiple
wanted
questions,
to,
just because I know that the furnace was so problematic last year.
no, he was today, I thought this was.
Yeah, I sent you this because I thought
You
you
know I
wanted to
want
get
to
this
get
off
that.
your
So
plate.
this, so this is for that.
And this doesn't
and
connect to
it separates
this.
us, which I think is great to separate the
Yeah.
two.
And then he
Yeah, yeah.
already has a proposal, which is not typed, because they
Gotcha.
were here today,
Yeah, yeah, okay.
and showing me everything that I just
Would
described.
would the rest of the building be migrating to mini splits too, or would it still be on a furnace?
You know,
Come up with a proposal. He has
Yeah.
it's going to be a propane-fired heat pump AC combination, because when the truck bays are open,
Yeah.
a mini split can't keep that
Right,
room
yeah,
warm.
yeah.
So the propane kicks in and adds to it.
So
But
kind of like
the
a combi kind of thing?
Yeah.
you
Yeah, I have a combi boiler at
you
home.
have three systems in here.
Yeah,
You have a massive oil furnace that heats this section of the building.
okay,
You have another oil furnace that heats those bays over there. You have a propane, Carl gets heated off the furnace over there into his room. Then you have a dysfunctioning furnace up in the attic of Robin's office
Yeah.
with air conditioning that does her office, the entry, and part of Carl's.
yeah.
So you have all this
It's
mix.
patchworks
And
together,
then you
yeah.
have a requirement for hot water to wash these trucks.
Yeah.
So it's like apples to apples. I mean, yes, it's great to do mini splits.
But no, it wasn't, yeah, I was,
Yeah, I mean, if we can, I'm looking at it for what is best suited for the building.
yeah, and I'm not suggesting, I'm more just,
Yeah,
just
what is,
asking.
what is gonna
um,
heat it most efficiently and use what's here.
What's pre-existing, yeah.
And,
yeah, yeah.
and I think we came up with a really, really good solution.
Yeah.
And,
And the combi boiler would address the need for the hot water for the.
there'll be one combi boiler to handle everything. And
Yeah.
the combi will take care of you guys opening the faucets.
Yeah.
And then we'll put in an indirect of maybe 45 gallons that has a recovery rate, so if they wash trucks, they have enough hot water.
Gotcha.
But I mean, we've got three systems in here,
Yeah.
and if you open these doors in January, the mini splits aren't gonna recover this room.
Yeah,
You know, so that, and that's, and like Mayor Lee said, you know, the return air was in there
Yeah.
when this thing was designed, because this was an open room,
yeah, yeah.
you know.
So it
I
can't
mean,
stay the way it is.
Past
Yeah,
years,
yeah,
there would be a fire, and we'd have to leave the meeting because we'd be fumigated.
Yeah, yeah. I have one last question, and it's just, and thank you for indulging. Are government entities, eligible for any of the NYSERDA grants in upgrading heated energy efficiency?
I think it's kind of like a.
And are you guys,
It's very
participating in the
sketchy.
program?
We participate in that. A lot of the grant pool totally dried up after COVID. I mean, an automatic right now.
So this one has got no rebates.
It meant.
Well, the NYSERDA state rebate program is based on usually based on the situation and I guess, and the kind of heat that you're upgrading, if you're making it more efficient than what it
Going
is,
electric heat pump, this is basically a hybrid
yeah.
where you have it's a hydronic system.
So it might not qualify
Where
for
you
the
have a propane boiler,
program, yeah, okay,
but yet you have an air handler for heating and cooling
yeah,
with a heat pump.
But
Because
this,
the heat pump is only gonna work to
Yeah,
a certain temperature, then the hydronic
Yeah,
system will
yeah.
kick on.
And if you're not taking away the
Yeah.
other system, then you don't qualify for the
Right.
NYSERDA, because you have to be, got it, okay, thank
And I
you.
mean, it's not gonna, we dip down to 15 below all the time, and this building is, it's a block building, even with the new windows, we got, we're
Yeah.
up.
No, you can't take away the supplemental heat, yeah,
But I
I
think
get
it's
it.
the most practical, efficient, long-term solution, and then it'll be on propane,
Yeah,
which is.
no, it sounds well thought through, and thank you for walking me through it, I just wanted to know more.
Yeah.
no, we appreciate it. And this,
I went down a wormhole the past couple of years with upgrading all of the heating in my properties, and so like it's all very familiar right now, so while it's fresh in my head. Yeah,
in this particular piece that we're gonna look at, for just her office, they got a $2,900 rate. So
so
it's
it's offset by almost half, or not,
almost, yeah.
about half, yeah.
Yeah, so we got 2,900. That was the prior
And the rest of it
administration.
will be savings in like not heating the entire building when they just need to heat that room.
It might, we might save in the first winter.
With oil.
Yeah.
But,
And also those oil tanks, getting out. I'm negotiating on this bid to make sure that we get reimbursed for our oil tanks
Mm.
that are a lifelong warranty according to his builder today.
But
I didn't forget.
the heat, the main trunk duct will still go through Kathy's room. And we'll put new louvers on all these, so she can shut it down, or, you know, have it as a.
If
That's a
Mitsubishi
supplement,
isn't
that's a
keeping up, then she could open up.
Yeah,
a
yeah,
loop.
And see, this
But she's not
system's,
relying on it then.
this is such a delay on this, like,
Yeah.
you know, when you're sitting in here and the temperature drops and it
Yeah.
drops and it's cooling and you're like, it's getting cold in here again.
Yeah.
And then finally it comes on,
To
and then it
yeah.
blows to no end, you know,
Yeah.
and she, but, you
But
know.
the time it reaches her, it's too late.
Well, it goes through and then it comes out over here, but it's just the cool down, I think, is quicker than, you know, with the windows we have and
Yeah,
the air, the air traps at, you know, on the foundation of the wall. so.
yeah, yeah.
So is the proposal for 3 zones or 4 zones? Because this is for court,
That's separate, that's all standalone.
and then
Then there will be,
Hall.
2 air handlers, 1 air handler up here, 1 air handler above Robin's office, and 2 unit heaters in the truck bays. Okay? So you're gonna have 4 zones, correct?
Okay.
And 1 for hot water.
So we would get rid of the hot water.
Yeah, I mean, there'll be a tank in there, but it'll be heated off the propane. So, and then everything will go in that room, you know, we looked at that with Mary today. You have that hose dryer, I think they still do use that, yeah. So, but it'll clean up that whole, that oil furnace in that center space. And Carl won't be getting blasted like a jet engine coming through the wall.
Have you ever seen the vent that goes to Carl's office?
Yeah.
I've never paid attention.
There's a big hole in the wall with a pipe coming out and we
With a
just put a
screen
piece of
over it.
plastic over it.
Like I can crawl through it.
Yeah, you can
Like,
crawl,
get in there. Yeah, I would crawl through that.
you can crawl through the duct system like some movie.
Yeah.
So that's one piece, we can put this on for the next one, I didn't have the other bids with it, so,
All right, thank you for taking the time.
and I really feel that it's, the cinder block outside, we have, I would say an expert mason in our community, Mr. Lucido, and he's been offered to work part-time along with our own highway commission as a helper to make all the masonry repairs to the building and also be a clerk of the works to any sidewalk replacements
Great.
to make sure during our projects or indoor ones, we might be green lighted to do certain sections in-house. And then we would have him on with our
With
highway
with
crew to
experience.
put in,
That's great.
which I think will be a big plus for the community. The community really likes it, will be very cost effective, but really good for the highway crew and for the community to understand that I'm going to do this work the backhoe, rip out old crappy sidewalks that are unsafe, or put in new sidewalks in Plainview. When we did a water main replacement in-house before, it was a big community booster for everyone concerned to show that we have this type of capability. And we got a commitment from clearly an expert in masonry.
Great, you know,
Yeah.
there's nobody better than
Yeah.
Tony,
Right.
you know, and, I mean, he's former mayor, former, you know,
Yeah, so
nobody
he,
does it better than him.
he wants to do it.
When we have him look at the masonry on this, there are some sections of the existing pavilion, that maybe could use a little patchwork up towards the top of the eaves on the block, at the park.
Point,
Which
pointing
one?
up.
The playground?
The playground part,
Oh, the
the
playground.
existing, not pavilion, there's some upper sections, up near the bathrooms.
So, park
Yeah.
commissioner,
Yep,
remind me.
I'll remind you,
What we have
we'll
to
go
do is
down
this
there
time we
and
start
look
seeing,
with him,
the
yeah.
weather just started to get good,
And
he
on the
didn't want.
bottom too, right?
Yeah,
On the outside by the waterfront?
yes, yep, that's.
Oh, yeah, great, so we need him over there.
Yeah.
So we'll tighten up this building, we'll get more efficient, we'll have the solar, we'll be offsetting a lot of the electric. Propane, in some case, well, the new equipment is gonna be much more efficient, I know propane is different than oil, but things are certainly gonna be cleaner and the air quality is gonna be, is vital to improve.
how many tanks?
Keep it as minimal as possible, there's 2 back there already, so
They're gonna be out in
They'll be on.
in the alley.
They'll be between the hedgerow, between Hunter Foundation, Astor House and here. So they're pretty screened. The condensers, I think we should put in that.
In that same alley.
No parking spot there where the blue stripes are. If you go behind and right under the eave, it's really
Oh,
bad.
you don't like that, yeah.
Really bad spot. And then over there where by the electric hookups.
Closer to the, right.
Right, and then there's like a little triangle there that's no parking, so that's
That's the-
yeah.
good. Around the corner, the backside of Robert's office.
When we get rid of that condenser unit,
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have a new one there,
yeah.
but that's where it'll go, it'll go there and towards the grass side. And we'll kind of scope it out this afternoon. Yeah, but it's given a system that's gonna be right and serviceable and with redundancy, so
Yeah.
if the heat pump for some reason isn't working, that you have the hydraulic system to run it,
No, it sounds thought through,
Yeah.
yeah.
Are all the warranties 12 years?
are all the what?
Warranties are 12 years?
On the Mitsubishi side of it, and then the Bosch, these are gonna be Bosch air handlers because they do the hybrid, and they have longer warranties. I mean, we're pretty solid with our backup, with stuff that, I can get stuff warranted, shouldn't be warranted, or, no, I mean, it's like when something goes and it's like, oh, we want you to fix it, we'll send you the compressor, and it's like, but it's, it's 10 below zero in February, so I'm not gonna tent this in, and you need to just give me a whole new unit. And it's service, and it's, and then you got fire trucks in here.
What's the life expectancy of the units, roughly?
I mean, the boilers are all probably 25 years. I mean, there's so many factors now with the corrosiveness of like the village water, is a little bit aggressive, and, there's so many different variables. I mean, it's not like what we used to have where stuff would last, 35 years I mean, there's stuff out there with my guy's name on it from the 80s that's still working.
How old is this furnace?
This is 94.
30 years.
And I mean, you can't even get like these commercial furnaces. No one stocks them, they're all special order. Everything with all the energy standards is like 150,000 BTU or less. So this is a whole commercial special upgrade to get these. And it's like 200.
Well, you'll give us
BTU filter.
a thorough, with all warranties for the next meeting or so? Yeah. I wasn't rushing, it's still kind of more on the agenda, so. Tax warrant, Ronald, you need a motion?
We just authorizing the tax warrant.
What?
And ordering you to collect taxes.
We need a motion to order you to collect taxes? I'll make a motion to order the tax collector to collect taxes.
Second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The total levy is $466,067.99. That's the tax warrant. Department reports, Robin?
Right after the tax warrant, so after the property list, after that. Hold on.
DPW repairs completed on Bobcat equipment, new sweeper attachment ordered Bobcat, began mowing and weeding, bike path cleanup, park and bike path cleanup, picked up garbage from 111 and 113 South Main Street, health and safety, that property owner has been informed. They claim that people have been doing illegal dumping, and he said that they were going to upgrade their cans, and that's an ongoing situation.
It's a metal dumpster.
The metal dumpster on South Main.
I think that property was recently changed hands too.
It was
Or
for
it's in the
sale,
process.
it was done for sale.
It will be more work for Carl to then address all the illegal dumpsters. Received volleyball net today that will be put up, and we're working on the village hall. As you see, the wall went up. Thank you, Mr. George Kelly, Deputy Mayor, framed it with the, him and his men came in and donated their time and framed it. And our DPW, quickly, in a day, hung up all this big sheetrock, sanded, insulated it. It's 5/8 fire code, and if you look at it, it's about as straight as an arrow. So they did a beautiful job. If you think the paint is darker, it is, but it's only the first coat, and they got a second coat coming. And on the bottom, obviously, where it's not painted, will be all the wainscoting to match the system with the wainscoting going through the whole room.
One question. What happens when we have meetings that exceed the size of this room? Because twice in the past 2 years, we've needed spillover space that I know of.
They wait outside? Or if we can
No, I mean,
anticipate,
for a meeting
No, I'm
that they're
serious.
participating in.
if they don't fit, then if we anticipate that, then we'll request the library to use their space or the high school.
When we had the short-term rental,
Public
public
hearing.
hearing, thank you, the public hearing, it spilled over, and then the dissolution meeting spilled over. So just saying in advance, if we're going to do short-term rental hearing, we might want to have a plan in place for it to be a large turnout.
What?
It's just said pavilion.
And it might not be a large turnout, but the last time, it was big enough that it spilled over. And it's just, it would be, you know, if it's the first large meeting of your administration, you want to have a contingency so that it's not like a problem, that's all.
I seen it at the town, they waited outside, they couldn't fit, people could speak, leave. That would be my contingency. I don't anticipate a gigantic crowd for this short-term rental.
Okay, it was the last time.
But I mean, people, town passed their law, everyone knows the law is coming.
All the way to the years have passed, but in the event, you're saying Jack, the Mountaintop Library would allow us?
Yeah.
Mountaintop Library would always
Yeah.
allow us.
Okay.
I don't know if you wanna just make that move and just do
Yeah,
that.
I'm not sure, I just wanted to put it in your mind because if we were not prepared for a large turnout, it would just look bad. And I
Yeah.
don't want us to look bad, that's all.
Yeah.
Perhaps by that time, we would do a Zoom, post a Zoom.
Ah, elegant solution.
Being optimistic.
Yeah.
I'm
Um,
optimistic that
and maybe
a bunch
the
of
draft-
people
maybe
are
the
done
draft-
knee-jerk reaction
Well,
to
maybe
the
the draft of
short-term
the
rental.
law will be good enough that people won't feel the need to come, because the first iteration of the law was really problematic. You know,
Of what law?
the short-term rental for the first public hearing, it was a very problematic law, so there was a big turnout. If we do our jobs and it's a good draft, maybe the turnout will be,
Less.
yeah.
That's what I'm assuming.
Yeah. Okay, I just
But
wanted to put it in your mind because that,
Well,
like
if they're packed,
twice in the 2 years that I've been coming to big meetings, you know, twice it spilled over.
yeah, and if it spills over, we're gonna have to have people rotate in and out and have their opportunity to speak. Not everyone wants to speak either, I don't think.
But most people want to hear what everyone else has to say. So we can't do that behind the screen.
But we record everything, so they can look at it online.
And submit comments before.
What?
And submit
And
comments.
submit form,
Yeah,
and
it's-
afterwards.
it's not, you know.
Water?
Water. Just enter this into the minutes. In reference to water, I had a Zoom meeting with oh, this is the elected official? Josh Riley's office called, I got them up to speed, it was a Zoom, we spent an hour and a half discussing, 3 major potential projects. They were very receptive, and understand some of the challenges that Greene County, goes through, being I wouldn't hypothesize, I will give a number that was given to me. 100 requests for money for culverts in Greene County were submitted to Albany through the legislature, and how many were awarded? 0.
Yeah, and Caleb over
They, they recognized it. I told him that our projects, which are true, are shovel-ready for tomorrow, the three that I gave them, and looking for funding. The three being the culvert, and I said the devastating effect it would be if any of these systems fail. Our surface water reservoir dam, our culvert, and the third one was the final piece to make our new water filtration system completely resilient by adding a wastewater line from the existing surface water treatment plant, which has been engineered to go down each drive, alongside of it, in the right of way, whatever it is. So, and that's engineered, and so they're aware of it. They're aware of the implications if these things don't get done, and the cost to the taxpayers, which would be astronomical. So, and Jason was on the Zoom also, and he backed it up with the engineering, that sort of thing. That's just one source of funding. CFA is opening up next week, so we'll just keep searching for funding, because none of it is manageable to put on taxes. And it is a long story, I just wanted to get you to know that we did that. As far as the grants update, change order?
Change order number 7, Matt has a question.
In relationship to those grants for culverts, it'd be interesting to see what was awarded to any North Country county or communities based on, in the Adirondack Park versus the Castle Park. I mean, you know.
Castle Park, yeah.
You know what I'm saying, that's where all the money goes.
I don't wanna be cynical, but certainly the political registration of our county doesn't put us in a good position in all of them. And I'm not making it.
Yeah.
I just
For
want,
the current
I want as an independent, that just happens. The numbers are the numbers. They brought them to me. They're not
Josh.
giving money to Green County. You know,
Bush.
who's pushing, well, you know, we're rural, we don't have a lot of votes, they don't feel like, you know, whatever this reasoning, cynical reasoning, why funding isn't given to low population, rural areas, in spite of whatever their registered voters are, is just a reality. We're not getting the money. So, we gotta be squeaky wheels, and we gotta keep throwing out those numbers, and we need to keep calling Josh's office. Doesn't matter what party you're in, you need to send letters, that we're just as important, so. Change order. Robin, you wanna just review that quick?
So change order number 7 is taking the paving back out of Bruce's contract for the Upper Lake Park project.
Okay, so Blue Spruce, because I'm glad you, I just needed a note. So we had blacktopping in the original park grant. Balance was 47,
Yeah, it was added to the original contract as an add alternate.
as an add alternate, and now we took it back out. He had given us a price which actually exceeded that. I asked Kerry, Mr. Kelly, the highway commissioners to all get out there and get bids. We got bids, and ultimately the lowest bid that we received, quality bid that was supposed to be done the 3rd week of June, is the entire park. The road going down from the top of South Main, a walking path to the left, the full circle, the road going up to the groundwater treatment plant, and that parking on top. All blacktop, all done, all finished.
5 weeks.
5
Mid-June?
weeks.
Or
And
end June?
I said that you gotta get it done by 4th of July.
Excellent.
And it's the entire job, and we're
So there's
using.
no gravel, because originally there was the possibility if there's some stretches of gravel in the.
Correct.
So it's all.
We got rid of that.
Okay, good.
All black.
Because that was gonna be a problem, yeah.
Yeah, all black.
Great.
And I think Robin and myself, we figured out how to use CHIPS money, the grant money, and a small amount of reserves. capital improvement reserves to just be done. The park will be pristine. And we need sunshine, because every time I call the contractor to come out, he's like, Lee, I just lost another week. You're telling me to move up the date, and we lost another week because of rain.
Yeah.
So, that's one update, right? So do we need to pass that change order, is that it?
Yes.
We need to make a motion to adopt that change order. That's taking the money back out of the contract that was awarded to, what's the name of his company? Blue Spruce.
Motion to approve
Change
change order number 7.
Yeah.
And
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So the squeaky wheel, I'll have to pat myself on the back. Calling every day, sitting with Robin, bothering these contractors. They're gonna start the solar project on Monday.
That's the estimated time. So if they start on Monday,
On Monday at the park,
okay,
they have 4 different meters or 5?
four?
They were approved for 3.
Yes, the last one, they had to do some additional electrical configurations for the water plant.
So Central Hudson has to approve it, and Central Hudson has approved 3 out of the 4 meters, so he's gonna start on those 3
You're
projects.
talking about that, right?
No, the lower lake pavilion,
Like that?
yeah,
And that's gonna go on the pavilion?
on the pavilion and the boathouse, and hook into the meter there.
Estimated time, so if they start next week, they'll be
He's gonna be
done
done in, he wants to get out of here.
Yeah.
a week or
So,
both?
probably
2
2 months.
Oh, okay.
So we'll be generating electricity,
2 months for the whole project or just for the?
I think for the whole project.
So it's going on the roof?
It'll
of
be
those-
on that roof, and it'll be out of there in a week.
Yeah, the roof of those 2 structures, the
This
roof of this structure, where else is
He'll
solar?
was this one approved, Robin?
Yes.
Yeah, so then they'll
Where
come
where
right
else
here.
is solar? The upper lake
Upper Lake,
pavilion?
and we're gonna do a couple ground mounts because we got approval of the property owner. So between the back, the upper parking lot and the boundary, we're gonna be able to put,
So discrete,
yeah,
okay.
it'll be up against the
Yeah.
trees because the sun sets,
Yeah.
that's, have you ever seen mine?
Yeah, yeah,
The way it faces, I'll be facing that way, catches the sun.
yeah, that's the way the my face thing.
You know, it'll be up against the trees, it ain't gonna be nice. So my wife screamed when I put it in the backyard, and then the next day she forgot all about it.
Is there anywhere else that solar's going, or those are all the pieces? Somebody was
That's-
asking me today, so I wanna
that's
make
all-
sure, I wanna
that's
make
all the
sure I know,
places.
okay, I just wanna make sure.
That's all the places. I wanted to put additional ones at the water treatment plant,
Yeah,
surface water treatment plant, but it wasn't in the DRI zone, so we put them there.
gotcha,
In
okay.
the future, if we want to put more out there, we'll see how this works
Yeah,
out. I'm anticipating, not this year, that it should offset 90% of our electric bill.
Which
But
So
it's
we
not-
decided on the Central Hudson vouchers. I was like, ouch.
Yeah, and the way it works is they put in a meter that spins in both directions.
Yeah,
Yeah, so when you're generating juice, it just spins backwards, and then when you know, because you can look at my house, it just, every month when I get a reading, it goes down, then it goes up a little, it goes down, it goes up a little. And this year, with all the rain, April and May, I had no bill, which was odd. Usually April I'd have some bill. April and May, I had no bill already. And the biggest generator is June, July, and August.
it's the same here.
Oh, you have solar at your house?
At my residence, yeah.
Oh, you have solar.
Can I ask a question about the next page? Because I don't remember seeing,
Solar, what is,
the next page is
The round two page?
is the round 2 of the DRI,
yes,
the DRF. I just didn't remember seeing.
it's not DRI, it's the
DRF,
downtown.
correct, the DRF, yeah. But I didn't remember seeing this before or seeing it announced before, and I was
This
curious.
is, we haven't put this out
Yeah, I
yet.
was curious when we were gonna put it out, because the application deadline is June 27th, so you wanna make sure people have enough time to
Right, we're gonna
do
put it
that.
out tonight, tomorrow.
Okay.
So,
Alright, I was like, happy to see that the second that there's another round going out.
They
Yeah.
just gave it to us.
Gotcha, okay, it
Do
says
we need to
May,
vote on
May,
this or no?
so.
This is.
I don't know if we have to
it's
vote.
just like an FYI.
Yeah,
Beautiful,
yeah.
thank you.
They just gave it to us.
Yeah, okay.
So,
gotcha.
well,
So this is,
first, if it sounds like it's shortcoming, it has to be done by when, October?
June.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain to the public what we're talking about?
There was a downtown fund of
$600,000.
$600,000, $60,000 went to the consultant, $540,000 4 projects were awarded and 1 has backed out. Backed out 2 weeks ago. We've been on the phone with the state and the consultants, so I had 2 Zooms from them, 3 Zooms, 3 Zooms, resulting in this request for projects for the remaining funds of about $77,000.
73, yeah. Yeah.
Will these follow the same guidelines that?
No, these
This
will
is
be
for smaller
slightly
projects.
Oh,
simpler.
smaller.
Yeah, it's
Excellent.
cool, it's cool.
So it's small facade improvements, which could include painting
Great.
and,
It's like beautification kind of things.
beautification.
It's great.
to try to spread it out.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great, and it's more what I like about this is it's accessible in a way that the other ones weren't necessarily to everybody.
Because the other ones are more environmental review and.
But also we're a higher financial
Right,
lift
right.
that not everybody could afford, right? So this makes it accessible financially for people, which is cool. I'm just saying great, that's all.
Oh, good.
And I want it to be announced.
No, no, I'm happy
Yeah,
because
yeah,
that was me then.
yeah.
That was,
Yay.
that was my vision, to try to spread it out and
Yeah.
give everybody a little opportunity to grab a little grant money, do a little fix up and try to spread out this rejuvenation to Tannersville.
Yeah.
Oh, good. All right.
Maximize the grant.
All right, so
Great.
now we should, as board members, tell everyone.
Yeah,
You're
let's
a Main
put
Street
that
business
out.
owner. Walk around, tell them, get in here. You got a $20,000 project?
Yeah, as soon as it's announced, we can start talking about
It's
it.
now
And
you
we
can.
post it on the website, so we have something to
I'm
do.
gonna post it on Saturday as well.
You what?
Post it on Saturday and put it all in newspaper.
Great, great.
Yeah, so it means you can
Love hearing
start
you say
now.
that.
Huh?
Love hearing you say that. I wish that notification.
Oh, smart growth contract, let's go. We had a bid opening last Friday,
Yes.
and we were fortunate enough to get bids that fell within the guidelines of our grant. Yes, Robin? Any other way to put it?
Yes.
I think you should be more enthusiastic. You wanna give the lowdown on the monies remaining and the awards? We have to award these, no?
Yes, we have to work contract one.
We have to award contract 1, 2, 3, guys, so we're gonna need a motion. And then if you need any questions about it, then tell me, ask now, speak now.
So the low bid on contract one was Pavilion Landscapes, and that was for site work and concrete foundation and pad for the picnic pavilion, which that pavilion is a second pavilion that's down by the fishing pier at the lake. Gil, I believe, has a picture, if anyone wants to see it. So the low bid on that one was $25,000. On contract two, the actual fabrication and installation of picnic pavilion was also, a low bid by Pavilion Landscape Management, and that was $38,100. In contract three, the landscaping low bidder was Goose Goose Nursery.
So,
And we're also applying for a stormwater reimbursement grant of $86.50.
you put all your magic numbers in here, Robin, the recap is in here for them?
Yes.
Yes? You know, I need a magnifying glass to read your tabs.
Can you hold it
But I
over
found
here?
it.
Do you have that comp sheet? The 11 by 17 one? Is it enough?
It's in the office. Well, the bids range from these to like $200,000 for.
Yeah.
They were from $200,000 to what we just awarded. They weren't close, there were 5 bids, and, they were
Yeah.
sealed bids all over the place. From $200,000 to $38,000.
And we'll note the closest, there was one very close where it was 35,000, 35,000. Those were the 2 closest. And I don't even know if those were, yeah, that wasn't even one of the ones that we awarded.
Right.
One came in lower than that.
So do we have a motion to adopt those bids?
I'll make a motion to adopt the smart growth contract bids for 1, 2, and 3.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So carried. Veterans approached me today. I have made it mandatory, unfortunately, we need the manpower for the men to work on Sunday of Memorial Day weekend to manage the road closure for the Memorial Day parade. And one of our highway guys is actually a fine cook. Last year, Mr. Kelly volunteered to do it. He could help a little bit with equipment, but I don't think Mr. Kelly, building the bathrooms, putting up the wall, that I was gonna make him cook again with his own family requirements. So I asked the highwayman that's been a sous chef for 15 years, please do barbecue for the veterans.
Can I ask a question about that? How do we manage the road closures if the DPW guys are, or guy is cooking? Because how many people do we need to manage the road closures?
He deals with the police. Kerry will deal with the police. I spoke to him today about it, he said it's no problem.
Okay, because I thought we needed somebody stationed at both ends.
Without question, he said he would manage it and do it. They usually do it more.
He asked if I would man one side, I said heck no, so I'm not sure, I don't know if,
I don't know, flag
I don't know
women,
if you have
flag
to-
women are really very valuable on
yeah,
closing
I,
roads.
I'm not available Memorial Day weekend, but, so I don't know, I just, it made me,
Don't worry about
it
it.
made me a little nervous.
What?
It made me a little nervous about what the plan was.
No, he didn't seem nervous, so if he gets nervous, he'll call me. and
Like,
we'll-
I'm not saying he did, it made me, like, what, it made me worried about what
Well,
was the
maybe he
plan.
was kidding, saying, yeah,
Oh,
come
I
on,
think
get
it
back.
sounded like he was kidding. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to see if there
I
was.
just couldn't put it on Mr.
When you
Kelly.
work for the village, your family.
I'm not Memorial Day weekend.
Oh, yeah, you around?
Since he was in the stroller, you know?
Memorial weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be
1
here.
o'clock?
I'm taking the veterans on the trolley ride. They're using the trolley to
Oh,
transport
that's
them
good.
up.
That does, you can't close the road.
Using the
Bill, you wanna close the road and around?
I will not be available.
Okay. No, I'm just going through. Mr. Kelly will probably show up and wanna do something, so he's good at yelling at cars anyway. He's perfect.
He could just park his car with one door.
He could just park, his 6 doors right in the middle of the road and stop.
But so that's on the Sunday of Memorial Day weekend? Yes, okay.
It's the Sunday of Memorial Day. That's it, and then the Father's Day car show, Robin put on here, just to make sure everyone talks it up.
Baby bag helpers.
I'll help with that.
Oh, great. Great. You must have got all your community service
Me and
done.
Robert will help
He's
with
got
that.
it since like 7:30.
I know, it's because I've been putting him to work since 7th grade. Or his mom has been putting him to work since 7th grade. Did we cover everything? Did I cover all the updates,
You
Robin?
wanted to mention about the Mother's Day?
I think
The Mother's Race was great success. They asked me to be the starter, it was fun. They had about 75 participants. I did call one of the, Mr. Chodak,
Yeah.
and thanked him for bringing it to Tannersville and welcomed any activities that they want to run through Tannersville. We used the bike path, we utilized a lot, and it was terrific.
Yeah, my son volunteered at it, and he said it was a successful event. Can I just ask too, like in the draft packet of laws, there was the property maintenance law. Are we gonna be updating that too, or was that included that?
Bill had just asked.
I requested that,
Gotcha.
yeah.
So why don't you guys review that for the next meeting and we can put it on the agenda?
Well, that's why I was like, is this something that because I work better with having to be able to read something like that right before I have to talk about it, so.
It wasn't on you, I didn't.
Yeah, it wasn't on here, but.
It is something that we need to address.
Yeah, so I was just wondering if this is going to be one of the next things that we're looking at.
Yes.
So that there's more time to.
Yeah.
look at
We're
these.
reviewing every law in the village.
Okay. Can I make a request to, if we are going to be reviewing things that have changes, that we get the documentation for it more than the day of, so that there's time to look at
You
everything?
can request it,
I am requesting that.
but it may not happen.
Well, thank you for listening.
I listen, but, no, the reason why, these little minor adjustments to these laws, this one, if you would have said, I really need more time, then we could have taken it. But there weren't major overhauls, and they still had to have a public hearing, and they still had to be aged for 30 days.
Yeah,
So,
I understand.
I figured these weren't a big deal to, have a week before. But since you wanna move on to the property maintenance law, then, now you have a couple of weeks
Yeah.
to digest and come up with ideas. And they all have to be reviewed by legal also. I think that's it. Anything else?
I counted over 20 geese at the park this morning.
I'm sorry?
The geese literally doubled overnight at the park this morning. They were wondering that
I heard it.
the pickleball court and the basketball court at 6 in the morning. They were wondering. Half of them there.
Cody.
Everywhere.
They
What?
literally doubled overnight.
I know.
They literally overnight. They doubled. That's not counting the
Can you,
goslings.
call, Cornell Cooperative Extension
Yeah.
and come up with a solution?
Yeah.
Maybe with your other guy that's doing other stuff? But Cornell Cooperative Extension will come up with a
But
solution.
if it's going at this rate, even
Are
if
you
it's-
a park commissioner?
no, but even if it's just this current population, by summer it's going to be literally a shit show there. I mean, it's just going to be a mess.
We have four up at our lake and two of them hatched, and we have 6 of them.
But like I walk that every day with my dog, and it literally overnight it doubles, more than doubles. So.
Of what, of the lake?
Can we get your coyote, costume?
Do you wanna talk about the lily pads?
Yeah.
Is it in the packet?
Yes. James from Pond and Lake came again to do his survey after doing the treatment last year on the lake. They sprayed, what was that? Clear cast, in effort to diminish the lily pad growth occurring on Red Van Winkle Lake. He sent photos of previous last year's, which are in our packet, and this year's. I don't think he came on necessarily the best day to look at growth.
The best time of day.
Or the best time, being dark out. He claims that the decrease so far has been 50% of the lily pad population. I definitely think once he puts forward a proposal for a second treatment, if it's done 50% of the work already, as the original proposal from him, that it would be 2 treatments, it'll be worth us looking at the second treatment.
Well, that's in the budget, so.
Yeah,
What day did he come last year? I remember seeing him. It was like dawn.
I don't know.
Never told us when he was coming, he just.
But I saw him. It was dawn. I remember I talked to him because I was like, hey, watch out! I saw a bear. But it was just this guy in a boat, like at dawn, going out and dumping stuff in the lake. But it was
Last year during the
La-
treatment,
last
that was
year.
in
I
July.
was gonna say, it was further along in the summer, so the bloom was much more advanced, so you can't compare right now
Right.
to July of last year. That's the only observation. So if it's reduced by 50%, it could just be because it hasn't grown yet.
That's what I'm thinking,
yeah,
and with
yeah,
the water level, how high it was.
Yeah, all the
Um,
activity, yeah.
Yeah, all the activity, the rain we've had. I know that the reason he came so late in the summer last year was because we were waiting on the permits,
Yeah.
which didn't come until that early part of June
Yeah,
to do it, which is why he came in July.
gotcha.
I think originally the anticipation was to come before everything bloomed and seeded.
Yeah. And I'm not saying
This
that,
year, we're ahead of
yeah,
that.
yeah, and I'm not suggesting that we shouldn't go forward. I'm just saying it's not apples to apples.
No,
Yeah,
definitely
yeah,
not.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
But he is scheduled. He's scheduled for June.
he's
Right.
scheduled for June this year. That's perfect.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Can you reconfirm it?
yeah, I'll reconfirm with him and I'll get an exact date, make sure we know what
I
time of
think
day
he
he's
sent
coming.
us an email, you can see Robin. So
Okay,
He didn't give it exactly.
he didn't give us an exact date.
okay. I'll nail him now for that,
All right.
get him on the calendar.
And find out what we do with the keys.
Yeah,
Is there only one level of concentration you can put in there
for the, clear,
for the clear coat?
I believe so.
So with the geese,
I can ask,
Please,
yeah.
please, because if he can increase the concentration by, if he can 2x the thinking is if he can 2x the concentration, that might decrease his arrival if he has to do an extra one by 50%.
Right.
with the geese there, if they're, I had looked all this up last year when it was an issue, so I might misremember some of it, but they're federally protected, so you have to apply for a permit to do something to mitigate the situation. And that process might take a while, so it's something that we would wanna do sooner rather than later if
Have
we're
Parks
going
guy
to
on
pursue
it.
it. Yeah, if we're gonna pursue it. It
I
might
had
take
the
some
Parks
time,
guy
so-
on it.
But then once you get the permit approved, I think it lasts for like 5 years or something.
Yeah.
It like lasts for, like, you don't have to go through.
It's a
some-
long
Yeah,
permit.
yeah.
I love the
The
skinny
issue
on
is
it.
having, or getting somebody to come do that work.
Yeah,
I
What do you
think.
mean, shoot him?
Or scrap and relocate, because.
That's the best
yeah,
way of saying it.
Scrap and relocate. And I mean, it's part of their migratory flight pattern, they're at every pond and puddle up here in the mountain.
They like ours now.
Yeah,
They've not been here my whole life.
no,
How do we encourage them to continue? They
Go
come,
somewhere
they
else.
visited, and now it's time to move on.
I think-
They flock together, so it's if you remove them, maybe it starts over, but it would take a while for it to start over, because if there aren't some already here, but like now that there were a few here, and then it's gonna, like a virus.
yeah.
They're hanging out in the field
They need to
between
make a hunting season
Billicasilla
for
and
Canadian geese
Tops.
again.
behind the
The
bay.
population
Do
will
it.
go down. Yeah.
But if we shoot a few, do they tell their brothers to leave?
Actually, last year we have a coyote come through, and that was one that was picked off, and they left for about a week and a half. There was not a goose in sight. I think an avenue of looking at maybe a movable decoy around the beach area might be something to look at.
That was floated last year and was positively received, but then nothing got done.
I'll look at
No
some
comment.
pricing and see
I
what
have
we
no
can
comment,
find.
because I have no knowledge, like, you wanna be informed about this, you told me geese stuff, and I'm like, I got no clue what you're talking about. But,
That's an avenue I'll
float
look at.
anything and it will be done.
The coyote decoys they didn't get because people were complaining they would scare children at the park. So that's why.
But their silhouettes is what.
But you'll be cute.
You were
Just put
serious.
Googly eyes on
I'm
them.
serious. So the other thought was maybe swans, they get swan decoys, or, you know, the little floaty things in
Yeah.
the lake. If the board wants to pursue such.
I am looking at numbers, and I didn't wanna propose it to you yet, but part of the park grant was supposed to have a fountain, a fontaine, spraying up, lit fountain, in the middle of the lake. It aerates the water,
Would
and
that reduce
helps
the lily pads?
kill the lily
pads,
pads.
yeah.
And it is beautiful, and it will make that park
Yeah.
just put icing on the cake. So I'm looking for prices before I propose it, and I'm also waiting for this fiscal year to end and see what our surplus is, if any.
Yeah.
And if there is, then I will bring it to you guys to put the fontana back in to help control lily pads and be magic. I mean, right by the dock, right by the launch, 20-foot high fountain lit.
Solar powered.
And it's not solar powered.
No.
No, it is electric underwater. You put it down, it floats on the top, you take it out in the fall, go on a rowboat, take it out, disconnect it.
Where does it power from?
Underground, underwater cable.
So we wouldn't need to run a conduit.
You have to, yeah, you have to run a wire. From a plug on the beach.
Nice.
It would be nice.
Just one long extension cord.
It is pretty much one long
That's how they
extension.
run music going there.
Okay.
So if we can find the funds for A, running additional electric, and B, for the device itself. And if we have any surplus and you guys are up for it, I think it will make the park ridiculous.
If you need help with the stuff, let me know. I'm
Is
really
there like a room that does this before it's a pavilion, or a pavilion?
Are there lights in the building?
There's conduit run over there.
There's conduit, but I guess no light.
Hygiene, safety.
But I think we wanted to close the
Because
dusk,
they're
so that's a
Like
good
it's the
consideration.
babies, like, you know, all the kids, not just the kids, you know, so.
Going on this full time.
It's so beautiful
Yeah,
about
but
it.
it's not just the kids.
Nobody sees
Like, I took this morning, half the geese were on the pickleball and basketball court. So I'm like, it's just gonna, so anyway, if there's anything I can say, just let me
No
know.
concerts.
I'll pull,
We have other
I had
possibilities.
a saved part from last
We
year.
have
I'll pull
that.
that back out, refresh it.
Make a motion to, close the meeting.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, good night.
Um,
Good night, public.
I'll look back up